The vast emptiness of space surrounding Earth's orbit was suddenly broken by the appearance of three massive ships. Each vessel was unlike anything humans had ever built, smooth, gleaming structures that seemed to bend light around their hulls. They positioned themselves in a triangle formation above the planet, remaining silent and unresponsive to all attempts at communication. Inside the lead vessel, Admiral Krell observed the blue planet with 6 cold eyes. His gray skin wrinkled as he frowned at the display screens. "Primitive, just as our scouts reported," he said to his officers. "They've barely reached their own moon. Their technology is centuries behind the Council standard." His second-in-command, Officer Toole, nodded. "The Council seeks to add their world to our protection zone. Humans show potential despite their current limitations." Krell made a dismissive gesture with one of his 4 arms. "The Council wants too many negotiations. These humans need to understand their place from the beginning." The Galactic Council had specific protocols for first contact with developing worlds: gradual introduction, cultural exchange, careful integration. But Krell had his own ideas about efficiency. "Prepare the demonstration," he ordered. "Admiral," Toll protested, "Council protocols require—" "I know what will work with primitive species," Krell interrupted. "They respect only power." Down on Earth, people went about their normal day. In New York City, traffic moved through busy streets. Office workers hurried to meetings. Children attended schools. The first sign something was wrong came when all electronic devices stopped working at once. Phones died. Computers shut down. Cars stalled in the streets. Then the sky turned red. A beam of intense light shot down from the largest alien ship, striking the center of the city. The energy spread outward in a perfect circle, vaporizing everything it touched. In less than 30 seconds, most of Manhattan was gone. Similar attacks struck major cities worldwide: Beijing, London, Moscow, Cairo. Not completely destroyed, but damaged enough to send a clear message. Across the globe, panic took hold. Military forces scrambled jets that couldn't get close to the alien vessels. Missiles fired at the ships exploded harmlessly against invisible shields. In an underground bunker, the President of the United States sat with her emergency team, face pale as reports came in. "Death toll is in the hundreds of thousands and rising," said General Roberts, his voice tight with anger. "They've made no demands," said the Secretary of State. "No communication at all." As if on cue, every working screen around the world suddenly displayed the same image: Admiral Krell's alien face. "People of Earth," he said, his words somehow translated into all major languages simultaneously. "I am Admiral Krell of the Galactic Council. Your planet is now under our protection. Resistance is pointless, as we have demonstrated. Accept your place in the galactic order, and further destruction will be unnecessary." The President leaned forward. "What do they want from us?" No one had an answer. 2 days later, representatives from Earth's nations gathered in Geneva, surrounded by the ruins of what had been a great city. The aliens had finally sent down a single shuttle, and from it emerged Officer Toole. "The Admiral regrets the need for such measures," Toole said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "The Council requires certain resources from your world. You will provide them. In exchange, we will share limited technology and protection." General Roberts clenched his fists under the table that remained silent. After the meeting, as world leaders discussed their limited options, Roberts met privately with the President. "They think we're beaten," he said quietly. "They expect us to bow down." The President stared out at the ruined skyline. "What choice do we have?" Roberts' eyes hardened. "We make them believe we've surrendered, and then we prepare." What the aliens didn't understand about humans was simple: they didn't take invasion lightly. And they learned very, very quickly. 6 months after the devastating attack, Earth appeared broken. Alien ships now hovered over major cities worldwide. Massive extraction facilities sprouted across once pristine landscapes, pulling rare minerals from the ground. Humans worked quietly under alien supervision, heads down, seemingly resigned to their fate. Diplomat Verex, newly assigned to oversee Earth operations, walked through a processing facility in what was once the Australian outback. Unlike Admiral Krell with his imposing frame and multiple limbs, Verex was almost human-like, with copper-toned skin and large, observant eyes. "The humans have adapted quickly to our presence," Verex noted to his assistant as they inspected the facility. "No resistance in over 3 months." His assistant, a junior diplomat named Mori, nodded. Admiral Krell's demonstration was effective. They understand their position now. A human supervisor approached and bowed respectfully. "The Northeast Quadrant has exceeded extraction quotas for the 3rd consecutive week, sir." "Excellent," Verex said. "Your efficiency is noted and will be rewarded." The human nodded gratefully and returned to work. Verex continued his inspection, pleased with the compliant behavior of these primitives. What Verex didn't see was the same supervisor slipping away during shift change. The man entered a bathroom stall, pressed a hidden panel behind the toilet, and descended through a narrow passage that opened beneath the floor. 200 meters below the alien facility, Commander Marcus stood before a wall of screens displaying data from every alien outpost on Earth. The underground complex hummed with activity as soldiers and scientists moved with purpose through the vast chamber. "Report," Marcus said as the supervisor entered. "They're completely convinced, sir. Verex just praised our efficiency." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. "Good. The more ore we provide, the less suspicious they become." "Sir," called Dr. Eliza from her laboratory section, "you need to see this." Marcus crossed the busy floor to where Eliza stood beside what appeared to be an alien pilot's chair. A young soldier sat in it, his temples connected to the device with thin wires. "Watch," Eliza said, her eyes bright with excitement. The soldier closed his eyes. Above the chair, a holographic display flickered to life, showing alien text and navigational charts. "We shouldn't be able to interface with their technology at all," Eliza explained. "Their neural systems are completely different from ours, but somehow human brains are more compatible with their tech than their own species." "How is that possible?" Marcus asked. "Their technology responds to specific brainwave patterns. Humans naturally produce a wider range of these patterns than any council species. We're like universal adapters for their systems." Across the complex, Engineer Jack worked with a team disassembling an alien scout ship captured during a transport accident 2 months earlier. The ship's outer shell had been completely removed, revealing the complex machinery inside. "Their propulsion system is impressive," Jack explained to Marcus during his rounds, "but inefficient. We've already improved thrust capacity by 40% using our own superconductor designs." "Can we replicate it?" Marcus asked. Jack nodded. "The first prototypes are already in production." Later that night, Marcus stood with the heads of Earth's unified resistance in a secure conference room. Representatives from former nations now worked as one, driven by the shared goal of freedom. "The fleet construction beneath the Pacific is ahead of schedule," reported Admiral Chen. 20 vessels complete, 30 more nearly ready." "Weapons systems?" Marcus asked. "Better than we hoped," replied General Okafor. "By combining their energy technology with our targeting systems, we've created something they've never seen before." A scientist named Miller added, "Their communications remain compromised. They have no idea we're monitoring everything." Marcus surveyed the determined faces around him. "Remember, we only get one chance at this. The Council believes humans are docile, primitive, and broken. When we strike, it must be decisive." Outside, under the watchful eyes of alien overseers, humans continued their active submission. But beneath the surface, Earth prepared for war. The Council mining ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its massive hull casting shadows over the Siberian landscape below. Inside the control room, Overseer Drav monitored extraction quotas with growing satisfaction. Resource acquisition is 17% above projections this cycle, he reported to headquarters. The humans continue to exceed expectations in efficiency. The alien officer failed to notice the subtle changes in the human workers, how they watched, how they learned, how they quietly collected small pieces of alien technology that accidentally broke off equipment. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, in a massive cavern carved into the seafloor, Dr. Eliza moved between rows of modified alien pilot chairs. 20 human operators sat connected to the systems, their minds linked directly to the alien interface. Neural compatibility at 93%, announced Eliza's assistant. That's 12 points higher than last week. Eliza nodded, her tired eyes brightening with excitement. What had started as a surprising discovery had become Earth's greatest advantage. While alien pilots required years of training to operate their vessels at basic levels, humans could intuitively control the same ships with minimal practice. Run the battle simulation again, Eliza instructed. The human pilots closed their eyes in unison. On massive screens above, virtual representations of human-modified ships engaged in combat with Council vessels. The simulated human fleet moved with impossible precision, executing maneuvers the aliens had never conceived. Their neural architecture is too rigid, Eliza explained to Commander Marcus during his inspection. They built their systems for their own minds. Structured, linear, predictable. The human brain makes connections they never anticipated. Can they adapt once they discover this? Marcus asked. Eliza shook her head. Not quickly. Their technology evolved over centuries to match their thought patterns. We're showing up as chaos in their ordered system. Across the facility, Engineer Jack stood inside the hull of their newest vessel. Unlike the sleek, perfect curves of Council ships, these hybrid crafts looked almost aggressive. Angular in places, organic in others. We've incorporated everything we've learned, Jack told Marcus as they walked through the ship. Their power systems, our weapons, their shield technology, our electronic warfare capabilities. Jack paused beside what appeared to be a modified engine core. This is the real breakthrough. They use gravity manipulation for propulsion, but they treat it like a blunt instrument. We've refined it, made it precise. What does that mean in practice? Marcus asked. Jack smiled. It means our ships can maneuver in ways they'll never expect. Their targeting systems are designed for predictable flight paths. We won't follow any. In another section of the massive underwater base, a team of communications specialists monitored all Council transmissions. They had discovered early on that the aliens' supposedly unbreakable encryption had fatal flaws when approached with human cryptographic methods. They're planning a Council assembly in 3 weeks, reported the lead analyst. All major species representatives will attend. Admiral Krell will present a report on Earth's integration. Marcus nodded, making a note. That might be our opportunity. Later that day, Marcus met with the Human Leadership Council. Representatives from every former nation sat around a table fashioned from salvaged alien metal, a symbolic choice. The fleet will be ready within 2 weeks, Marcus announced. 87 ships, fully operational, crews trained and prepared. And the Council still suspects nothing, asked one of the leaders. They believe we're primitive laborers, barely worth monitoring, replied General Okafor. Their arrogance blinds them completely. The meeting continued into the night, finalizing plans for humanity's response. Above them, Council ships continued their regular patrols, their sensors never detecting the massive construction efforts hidden beneath the waves. In his quarters later, Marcus studied the latest intelligence reports. The aliens had categorized humans as a Class 4 species, intelligent but technologically immature, suitable for labor and eventual limited integration. They should have checked our history, Marcus muttered to himself. Humans don't stay conquered for long. Soon, very soon, the Galactic Council would learn exactly what humanity was capable of when pushed too far. The Grand Council chamber floated in orbit around Nexus Prime, the ceremonial heart of galactic governance. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the massive circular hall, their diverse forms seated according to status and influence. Admiral Krell stood at the central podium, his four arms gesturing to holographic displays of Earth. As you can see, integration of the human world proceeds efficiently, Krell announced with pride. Resource extraction exceeds projections by 22%. The primitives have accepted their role without further incident. Diplomat Varex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Perhaps we should discuss accelerating technological sharing with the humans. Their adaptation rate suggests they could become valuable contributors rather than mere labor. Krell's upper eyes narrowed. That would be premature. Humans remain volatile and unpredictable. They require at least a century of supervision before. A junior communications officer burst into the chamber, breaking all protocol. Counselors. Unknown vessels have appeared throughout Council space. The chamber erupted in confusion as the main display shifted to show tactical readings. 87 unidentified ships had somehow appeared simultaneously near key military installations across 12 star systems. Impossible, Krell hissed. No species possesses such coordination capability. On the primary defense station orbiting Nexus Prime, alarms blared as 3 ships of unfamiliar design appeared without warning. They weren't there, and then suddenly, they were. No hyperspace signature, no warp distortion. Unidentified vessels, you have entered restricted space. The station commander broadcast. Power down and prepare to be boarded or face immediate destruction. The response came not as words but as precise energy bursts that disabled the station's weapon systems without causing casualties. Similar reports flooded in from across Council space. Strategic strikes disabling military capabilities with surgical precision. In the Council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence as the main communication screen activated. Commander Marcus appeared, wearing a simple gray uniform bearing no insignia except a small Earth emblem. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Marcus stated calmly. I am Commander Marcus of Earth. 1 year ago, you came to our world, destroyed our cities, and claimed our planet without provocation or proper contact. Today, we demonstrate that this was a critical error in judgment. Krell slammed his fist on the podium. This is impossible. Humans are primitives. We were never primitive, Admiral Krell, Marcus continued. Merely untested. Your attack forced us to adapt quickly. We have now done so. The display split to show the disabled military installations across Council space. As you can see, we could have chosen destruction, as you did to us. Instead, we offer terms. Complete withdrawal from Earth within 7 standard days. Recognition of Earth as a sovereign world. Reparations for damages inflicted. The Council representatives looked to one another in disbelief. No newly contacted species had ever achieved such a feat. This is absurd, Krell shouted. We have thousands of warships. These few vessels cannot stand against the might of the Council fleet. Marcus smiled slightly. We currently hold your primary defense grid hostage. Test us if you wish, but consider the consequences carefully. With those words, the human vessels disappeared as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving behind disabled weapon systems and bewildered Council forces. In the chamber, chaos erupted. Species representatives argued loudly about the proper response. Some demanded immediate military action to crush the human rebellion. Others called for negotiation, concerned by the technological capabilities demonstrated. How did they develop such technology so quickly? Demanded the Tauric representative. It should be impossible. More importantly, added another counselor. How did they coordinate simultaneous strikes across 12 systems? Our fastest communications take hours to reach that distance. Admiral Krell stood rigid with fury. This changes nothing. The humans have revealed their hand. Now we will show them true galactic power. As the Council debated, no one noticed Diplomat Varex quietly studying the technical data from the encounter. No one saw his expression of growing concern as he recognized something the others missed. The human ships weren't just advanced. They were using Council technology in ways the Council itself had never imagined possible. The first strike had been delivered, and nothing in the galaxy would be the same again. Emergency lights pulsed throughout the Grand Council chamber. 3 days had passed since the human demonstration, and the representatives of the 27 spacefaring civilizations had been locked in heated debate since. Admiral Krell stood at the center, his gray skin flushed with darker patches of anger. We cannot allow this insult to stand. The humans must be crushed completely. Across the chamber, Diplomat Verex rose. Unlike Krell's imposing four-armed frame, Verex's slender form seemed almost fragile, but his voice carried unexpected authority. Perhaps we should consider what the humans are actually requesting, Verex suggested. They ask for sovereignty, withdrawal, and reasonable reparations. Not conquest, not surrender of our technology. You suggest we reward their aggression, demanded the Voltar representative, a massive being whose crystalline body refracted light across the chamber. I suggest we recognize our own aggression first, Verex replied calmly. We violated our own first contact protocols. We destroyed their cities without provocation. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species had opposed the original Earth intervention, while others had supported Krell's heavy-handed approach. Now, faced with unexpected human capabilities, old alliances were fracturing. In a secure room adjoining the chamber, the Council's intelligence director briefed a select group on disturbing findings. Our communications networks have been compromised, the director explained, her tentacles nervously twisting together. Evidence suggests humans have been monitoring all transmissions for months, even encrypted military channels. Impossible, whispered one military commander. Our encryption is unbreakable. Apparently not to human minds, the director replied. Their thought patterns approach problems differently. What we see as impenetrable barriers, they see as puzzles with multiple solutions. Meanwhile, in another section of the station, Diplomat Verex met secretly with representatives from 7 Council species. None were military powerhouses, but together they formed a significant economic bloc. My government has authorized me to open separate negotiations with Earth, said the Tellarite ambassador, her feathered crest rising in determination. As has mine, added the Novan representative. We've reviewed the data. Humans adapted our technology and improved it within months. We see opportunity where Krell sees only threat. Verex nodded. We must proceed carefully. Krell has significant support among the militaristic factions. Back in the main chamber, that support was growing. Krell had moved from demands for action to specific battle plans. I have ordered the assembly of the Grand Fleet, he announced. Over 3,000 warships will converge on Earth within 15 standard days. We will show these humans the true meaning of galactic power. Many council members roared approval, but Verex noticed several representatives exchanging concerned glances. The council was splitting into factions, something that hadn't happened in centuries. That evening, in his private quarters, Admiral Krell received a disturbing report. 3 major council species had withdrawn their ships from the Grand Fleet, citing technical concerns. 6 others had committed fewer vessels than promised. They fear these primitives. Krell raged to his aid. Based on a single demonstration. Sir, the aide ventured carefully. Intelligence suggests human technological adaptation exceeds anything we've encountered. Their neural structure allows them to. I don't care about their neural structure. Krell interrupted. I care about maintaining order. If humans succeed in this defiance, every subjugated world in the galaxy will take note. The aide fell silent, recognizing the truth behind Krell's anger. This wasn't just about Earth anymore. It was about the power structure that had governed the galaxy for millennia. As Krell fumed, a message arrived from the Council's supreme authority. After reviewing the situation, they had granted Krell emergency powers to resolve the human situation by any means necessary. The notice came with authorization codes for the Council's most devastating weapons, planet killers that hadn't been deployed in generations. Krell's upper eyes narrowed as he read the authorization. "Prepare my flagship," he ordered. "I will lead the fleet personally." Across the galaxy, as news of the coming conflict spread, planets chose sides. The greatest war in Council history was about to begin, all because they had underestimated a single world called Earth. The edge of Earth's solar system erupted with light as 3,000 Council warships emerged from hyperspace. Their formation spread across millions of kilometers, a metal armada designed to overwhelm any defense through sheer numbers. At the center, Admiral Krell's flagship dwarfed the others, a 15-kilometer behemoth bristling with weapon systems capable of shattering moons. On its bridge, Krell surveyed tactical displays with cold satisfaction. "All ships report ready." Admiral, his second-in-command, announced. "No sign of human resistance yet." "They hide like vermin," Krell said. "Begin advance toward their homeworld." Slow and steady, the massive fleet moved forward, their sensors scanning for any sign of Earth's small force. According to intelligence, the humans had fewer than 100 ships. Against 3,000, victory seemed assured. Inside Earth's hidden lunar base, Commander Marcus stood before his gathered captains, their faces illuminated by holographic displays tracking the incoming armada. "They've arrived exactly as predicted," Marcus said calmly. "Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." Dr. Eliza stepped forward. "Neural interface systems are operating at peak efficiency. Our pilots are ready." "And our new drives?" Marcus asked. Engineer Jack nodded. "The gravity manipulation systems exceed all test parameters. They won't know what hit them." Marcus surveyed the determined faces before him. Most had lost family members in Krell's initial attack. All had worked tirelessly for this moment. "They expect us to cower," Marcus said. "They expect us to beg. Let's show them what humanity does instead." Throughout the fleet, human pilots connected to their ships through Eliza's neural interfaces. Unlike the aliens who operated vessels through controls, these humans became their ships, feeling every system as extensions of their own bodies. "All ships, engage Phase 1, Marcus ordered. The Council fleet continued its advance, formation perfect, weapons charge. Then their sensors detected movement. "Admiral," called the tactical officer. "Human vessels detected. They're behind us." "Impossible," Krell snapped. "Check again." But the officer was right. Somehow, the Earth fleet had appeared in the rear of their formation. Before Krell could issue orders, the human ships attacked, not with conventional weapons, but with precisely calculated gravity pulses that sent Council vessels spinning out of formation, colliding with one another. "How are they moving like that?" demanded Krell as he watched the tactical display. The human ships didn't follow normal physics. They changed direction instantly, accelerated at impossible rates, and seemed to predict Council maneuvers before they happened. "The neural interfaces," whispered Varex, who stood at the back of the bridge as the Council's observer. "They're not just controlling the ships. They're becoming them." The battle spread across the solar system. Council ships fired massive energy weapons that the smaller human vessels simply weren't where they were supposed to be when the beams arrived. Meanwhile, the human counterattacks were surgical, disabling engines, weapons, and shields without destroying the vessels themselves. As his perfect formation dissolved into chaos, Krell's rage grew. "Enough games. Prepare the planet killer. If we cannot have Earth, no one will." At the rear of his flagship, massive panels opened to reveal an ancient weapon, a gravitational singularity launcher capable of collapsing a planet's core. "Sir," protested his second-in-command, "there are billions of sentient beings on that world, and they will serve as an example to any who defy the Council," Krell replied coldly. As the weapon powered up, Marcus received the alert they had been waiting for. "All ships, execute Phase 3, he ordered. Across the battlefield, human vessels suddenly vanish, reappearing directly around Krell's flagship in a perfect sphere formation. Before the Admiral could react, precisely calibrated gravity pulses froze his massive ship in place. Engineer Jack's voice came through the command channel. "The weapon is powering down, Commander. We've got control of their systems." On the flagship's bridge, consoles went dark as external control took over. Krell watched in disbelief as his own weapon systems shut down one by one. "This is impossible," he whispered. The main screen activated, showing Commander Marcus. "Admiral Krell," Marcus said calmly, "your fleet is defeated. Your weapon is neutralized. Now shall we discuss terms of surrender?" Around them, the greatest armada in Council history floated powerless, outmaneuvered by a species they had dismissed as primitive just 1 year before. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Krell was led in, his 4 arms bound in energy restraints. Once the most feared military commander in the galaxy, he now shuffled forward under the watchful eyes of human guards. His gray skin had paled, and his upper eyes remained downcast. Behind him entered Commander Marcus, Dr. Eliza, and Engineer Jack. They walked with quiet confidence, their simple uniforms bearing only Earth's new emblem, the blue globe wrapped in stars. The chamber itself had changed. Where once 27 species sat in a rigid hierarchy, now the seating formed an equal circle. Several seats remained conspicuously empty, former council powers who had refused to attend. Diplomat Varric stood at the center. "This emergency session of the reformed Galactic Council is now in session. We gather to ratify the Treaty of Sol and establish new principles of interstellar governance." On massive screens around the chamber, the battle that had changed everything replayed in brief segments. The overwhelming Council fleet rendered helpless, the precise human strikes that disabled rather than destroyed, the capture of Krell's flagship with its planet-killer weapon. The war ended with minimal loss of life. Varric continued, a testament to Earth's restraint when total victory was within their grasp. Marcus stepped forward. "We could have destroyed your fleet entirely. We chose not to. Earth doesn't seek vengeance or domination, only equality and respect." An angry voice called from the gallery. "You humiliated the greatest power in the galaxy. What else would you call that but domination?" Dr. Eliza answered calmly, "We call it survival. Your council attacked us without provocation. We defended ourselves. The difference is that we stopped when the threat ended." Engineer Jack activated a hologram displaying the treaty terms. Earth will join the Council as an equal member. All occupied worlds will receive similar rights to self-determination. The era of forced protection and resource extraction ends today. The chamber erupted in mixed reactions. Shouts of protest mingled with murmurs of approval. Several delegates from smaller worlds nodded in open support. Varric raised his hands for quiet. "Before we vote, Admiral Krell has requested to address the Council." Krell stepped forward, his restraints temporarily deactivated. For a moment, it seemed his old arrogance might return. Instead, he spoke with unexpected humility. "I underestimated humans," he said simply. "We all did. We judged them by their technology, not their potential. We saw their divisions, not their ability to unite. We measured their weapons, not their minds." He turned to face Marcus directly. "In 1 year, they matched technologies that took us centuries to develop. In 1 year, they surpassed our understanding of systems we created. What will they achieve in 10 years? In 100? The chamber grew silent as the implications settled over the delegates. "The old council is finished," Krell concluded. "Whether you accept these terms or not, the galaxy has changed forever." The vote that followed was not unanimous, but the majority carried. Earth would join the reformed Galactic Council. The Treaty of Sol would become the new foundation of interstellar law. Later, as the formal proceedings ended, Marcus stood with Eliza and Jack on an observation deck overlooking the vast galactic core. Thousands of stars shone before them, each potentially holding worlds to explore. "Was it worth it?" Eliza asked quietly. "All the sacrifice, all the work?" Marcus nodded. "Not just for us. For every world that will now determine its own future." Jack examined a holographic star chart hovering before them. They shared the full galactic maps, There are 17,000 charted systems, and we've only begun exploring. And beyond those, the Liza asked. Unknown space, Marcus replied, pointing to the dark regions on the map. No council ship has ventured there. Perhaps humans will be the ones to do it, said a voice behind them. They turned to find Ferex approaching. Your people see possibilities where we saw only risks, the diplomat continued. The council grew stagnant in its certainty. Perhaps we needed this adjustment. As Ferex left, the three humans returned their gaze to the stars. Earth had won its place in the galaxy not through conquest, but through ingenuity, determination, and the uniquely human ability to adapt. What now, Commander? Jack asked. Marcus smiled for the first time in many months. Now we do what humans have always done best. We explore, we learn, we build something better than what came before. Beyond the observation window, the galaxy continued its eternal dance, now with humanity taking its first steps onto a much larger stage. No longer as subjects, but as equals in the cosmic community they had fought so hard to join.